everyone. So I realize this video is controversial and I had reservations about even making it, but I wanted to make it because I know that it will help some people who are going through the same process that I did, to help them understand what to maybe expect, give them some comfort, some reassurance that it'll all be okay and that they can get through this. So that's why I wanted to make this video for people who are going to be going through getting an abortion, and just so they know what to expect. And I would like to say that I do support abortion, whatever the reason may be. I am pro-choice. I think that every woman has the right to either choose if she wants to have the baby or terminate the pregnancy. So in my personal case, I had no choice but to get an abortion, and the reason why is because I was taking the prescription medication Accutane, which causes severe birth defects, if not miscarriage or spontaneous abortion during pregnancy. So my doctor advised me that it would be in my best interest and the baby's best interest to terminate the pregnancy. So, and that's what any doctor will tell you if you are taking Accutane and you do happen to get pregnant. So that is my personal story there. But so I just want to go ahead, and I have notes here. I just want to give you an overview. I had 2 appointments in total: the first consultation appointment and then the actual appointment where I had the abortion procedure done. So I'm just going to run through what those appointments were like for you guys, and hopefully you will be educated on the matter more than you were before, or if you are someone who is about to go through this, then it'll help you out. So anyway, I went to Planned Parenthood to get the abortion in the United States. That's pretty much the place to go. But you can get in quickly. I know some doctors, some OBGYNs do abortions. A lot of them don't, for whatever reason, whether it's a religious reason or they don't do them. So I went to Planned Parenthood because you can get in quickly with them and they are safe. My experience that I'm about to share with you, everything was safe and sanitary, and the staff was friendly, and it all went pretty smooth for the most part. And yeah, so my first appointment was about a week ago, and well, it was a week from last Friday, yesterday, this past Friday, and I arrived at 12:45. The building was secure, so I had to go through security, and I did that. I went in to the front desk then after I got done with security, and I filled out some paperwork. I got my medical history, just basic information that you would fill out going to any doctor's office. And so what they do is you don't do everything all at once. You do one portion, like you do one thing at a time, and then you sit back down, and then you wait 15 minutes, a half hour, and then they call your name, and then you go into a room and do the next step. And then you walk back out into the waiting room, you sit down for another 15 or 30 minutes, and then they call your name back and you do the next step again and again and again. So until all the steps are complete. On the first appointment, there's like 6 different steps that you have to do. On the second appointment, the actual procedure appointment, there is a lot less steps. There's like I think 3 or 4 where you have to go back into the main waiting room and wait. So anyways, so after I filled out my paperwork, I did a urine and a swab test. the swab test tested for gonorrhea and syphilis, I believe it was, those two STDs. And I sat back down, I came back out, or they called me back in, and I did blood work, and they took my blood pressure. They did the blood work to determine if you were a positive or a negative blood type. And then I talked to a lady about my medical history, and I confirmed that I did want to do the abortion, that no one was forcing me to do it or against my own will, that it was my decision. I was read my patient rights. Like, for example, I had the option to talk to the doctor if I chose to. After I was done talking to that lady, I sat back out in the waiting room, and then I was called back to do my ultrasound, and I found out that I was really early in the pregnancy. Luckily, I was 5 weeks and 6 days. I had the option to see the ultrasound, and I also had the option to get a printout of the ultrasound, which I declined. Didn't really feel like I needed that, but I did see it, and it was really tiny. It was the size of a raisin. Couldn't make out anything of it. It was just a little dot on the screen. So that was that. And then for the last time, or the last step in this appointment, is I talked to a lady who asked me if I wanted to be in clinic or the medication abortion. And if you don't know, there are two different types of abortions. One, you take a medication and it basically causes a miscarriage, so you just bleed it out essentially. And then there is the in-clinic abortion, which they basically stick like a vacuum up there and they suck it out. So I chose the in-clinic one because it goes a little bit faster. For the medication one, it's a little bit more drawn out. You're bleeding, you have blood clots, you have a lot of cramping, and from what I researched, it just didn't sound like a fun time for me. I preferred doing the in-clinic one. I thought that might go smoother, so that's what I chose. And I confirmed with her again that I wanted an abortion, and I told her the reason why. I then scheduled the procedure, which was exactly 1 week later, and it was the earliest that they had. I got to choose what kind of sedation I wanted. They had a mild sedation, which was a Valium and ibuprofen, and then they had a moderate sedation, which was IV drugs. You're still awake, but it's pretty heavy sedation, where kind of like when you're at the dentist and they give you like laughing gas or whatever, where you're kind of out of it. So I chose to do the IV drugs just to be safe, because I was scared of experiencing any pain. And then she went through a checklist of items before the surgery, like eat a small meal, bring an extra pair of underwear, things like that. And as far as, never mind, that's what she went through there. And as far as that appointment, it took a little bit over 3 hours in total. So when I scheduled the appointment and called, I was told that it could take 3 to 5 hours. So it took a lot less than that, so that was nice. So a week later, this is the procedure appointment. I arrived at 11 a.m. and I ended up leaving there at 2 p.m. So again, that didn't take very long. I was told that that appointment could take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, and it took a lot less than that. So when I got there, after I went through security, and there were picketers there who yelled at me when I was going up, or I was parking and then walking up to the building. So yeah, you might have to deal with that. For me personally, I think they were there because I was in my state. This facility is literally the only facility in my state that does in-clinic abortions. So it's kind of like the main headquarters, I guess you could say. So I think that's why they were there. They're probably not at every Planned Parenthood. So you might not have to worry about that. Just in my case, they were. But anyway, so once I got there, I did another urine and a swab test, I sat down, my name was called, and I spoke with an auditor real briefly, and I went back to the waiting room, sat down, was called back again, and I paid the cashier. And then as far as cost goes, if you're wondering, I can't really speak to this because in my case, I didn't have a job at the time, so my cost was subsidized based on that. So I paid a lot less than probably someone who did have a decent or any income at all. So on their website they talk about cost, but for me it was lower than what they saw on their website. But I mean, it's something that you have to do though. So I mean, cost is really irrelevant because you're gonna have to do it no matter what it costs. So let's see. After I paid the cashier, I sat in a waiting room with about 7 other girls. I was in that waiting room, and this was in the back. I was no longer out in the front, the main waiting room that visitors sit in as well. This is like the private back room. And as far as visitors go, I did have my boyfriend with me each time for each of the 2 appointments. So I had that, so it's good that you can have someone to be there to support you. But anyway, so when I was in that back waiting room with those 7 other girls, I was then called back to change into a medical or hospital gown and lock away my belongings. Then they did my IV. I was given an anti-nausea pill and an antibiotic. The anti-nausea pill, they said that the sedation could cause nausea, so that's why they gave me that. And then I went into another waiting room with a couple other women, and once I was in this waiting room, this was the waiting room, the last one right before the actual surgery itself. So they went ahead and they told me to use the bathroom, empty my bladder, so I did. So that was that. And so they called me in to the actual procedure room, and they told me, the doctor said that they were going to do an examination first, and they put this numbing cream on my cervix, and that was kind of weird. It made my ears ring, and it made my vision like a little bit kind of blurry or like wavy. Nothing too bad where you were too completely out of it, but that's just a little bit. And so that was going on, and about halfway through that, I asked, when do I get my IV medication? And they were like, oh crap, we're almost finished. So they said, well, we can still give it to you, but we're almost done, so it really wouldn't benefit you that much. So I said, okay, well, that's fine. So I went through that whole procedure without any mild or moderate sedation whatsoever. And they were very apologetic for that. I still can't believe that they would slip up on something like that, but they did. As far as pain goes, the pain kind of was like when they would like use the instruments to nudge my cervix or my uterus, I would feel like a little bit of a sharp, quick pain. That happened on maybe 3 occasions, but that's really the only pain that I felt. Some women report cramping throughout or during the procedure as well as afterwards. I had very mild cramping, barely any at all. So, like I said, I just felt those sharp little pains, so I didn't read anything about that. That was just my own experience. So if you don't read anything about that, then expect to maybe feel just a little bit of quick, kind of sharp pain, but it's really not too bad. And you'll be on some sort of medication. Like me, I was a fluke, so I don't think that it'll really be too bad for you. And so, let's see, I had some light bleeding as well. As soon as you're done, they give you a pad. And you use a pad for, as far as using a pad, you have to use a pad for the first 7 days. You can bleed up to 6 weeks after the procedure. and you have to use pads for the first 7 days. After that, you can use tampons. You can't have anything going into your vagina for the first 7 days. So no sex, no tampons, no nothing like that. So, and then after the procedure was done with, they walked me to the recovery area, which had a bunch of chairs surrounded by a nursing station, and they offered me something to drink. So I had Sierra Mist, and they gave me vanilla wafers to munch on. And I was there for about 10 minutes until I changed back into my clothes. And I then sat back down into the main waiting room in the front, and I waited for them to call my name, and then they did. They reimbursed me the $70 for the IV sedation that I didn't get. So, and then that was the end of my appointment. So, really not too painful. It was tolerable. And, yeah, so I just wanted to share my story to anyone who is watching this and is going to be going through an abortion themselves, or if they have a friend or a loved one who's going to go through one, then they can maybe pass this information on to them. And if this doesn't apply to you, then hopefully it educated you and made you realize a little bit more what it's about getting an abortion. So thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope this reaches someone. And like I said, I'm hesitant on even posting this because I'm going to get judged for it, I'm sure, but it is what it is, and I just wanted to share my experience for those of you who will benefit from it. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Love you guys so much. Thanks for watching. Bye.